Good to have you back. My name's Lloyd, and today we're going to look at 2-5-1 progressions and a play-along track for 2-5-1s in all keys. But before I dive into that, I thought it might be a good idea to start with the cycle of fifths for those of you who may not have heard of the cycle of fifths, and give you some practical exercises to think through the cycle of fifths with dominant sounding chords. Dominant sounding chords being a chord that would be called a seventh. Okay, so the cycle of fourths and fifths with key signatures and relative minor keys. So just to explain this, what we have here is the cycle of fifths. When you go to the left, it goes in fourth, C, D, E, F. And then F, G, A, B flat, always counting in fours, right? B flat, C, D, E flat, 4. So around this way will be a fourth, and around the other way, it'll be a fifth. C, D, E, F, G, a fifth. G, A, B, C, D, a fifth. D, E, F, G, A fifth. Okay, now, it just came to mind, you might want to demonstrate that to yourself on the guitar fretboard. The guitar is tuned in fourths, so C to F is a fourth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my F. From F, 1, 2, 3, 4, B flat. Right? From B flat to E flat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because of the tuning, 1, 2, 3, 4, A flat, and so on. If we go C to G, in fifths, right? C, D, E, F, G. You're going to end up with a bunch of power chords. Okay, so fourth, a fourth is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I have to say this too: C, from C to G, the fifth. If I invert from the G to the C, I end up with a fourth, right? So a fifth inverts to a fourth, and a fourth inverts to a fifth. Okay. Let's talk about key signatures a little bit. In the key of C, as you know, there are no sharps or flats. If you go to the left, you'll have the flat keys. So the key of F will have one flat, B flat. The key of B flat will have two flats. The key of E flat will have three flats, and so on. This is just an easy way to remember key signatures. From C to G, going the other way, going in fifths, we have one sharp. G has one sharp, going another fifth, two sharps, going another fifth, three sharps, going another fifth, four sharps, and so on, right? So our system of key signatures also works with this cycle of fifths. I could go on with the cycle of fifths and its ramifications for an hour. I'm not going to go there. Suffice to say that this is important for you to know and understand. And so I would suggest that you, if this is sort of new information for you, to check out what the cycle of fifths is all about. To begin with, the cycle of fifths or fourths is an interval, right? And the two intervals that we're talking about are a fifth and a fourth. Distance between two notes. Okay. Now this inner circle here is the relative minor to each of these keys. So the relative minor to the key of C is A minor. Relative minor to the key of F is D minor, and so on. Relative minor to the key of G is E minor. These things you should have memorized, and as well you should have this cycle memorized, and I'll give you an exercise to do that. These are, by the way, very practical. They turn up in music all the time. So I'm going to use this cycle to play a cycle on the fretboard. C7, cycling in fourths, F7, B flat 7. These are really common movements. I'm at D flat, F sharp 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7. E7, and then we're back around the cycle. So you can hear this is a great exercise just to cycle through the dominants. My reader's not reading when I play that way, so I'll stop. C7, F7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat 7, F sharp 7 to B7, E7, A7, D7, and finally to C. So that is a dominant cycle, and dominant cycles will happen constantly. I'm not talking about a cycle of an entire 12 keys, but I'm talking about well, let's say if we take a tune like All of Me, you know that tune. And then it goes to E7, A7, and then to D. Right, so there's a cycle right there. So if we look at what that cycle just did, it went from E7 to A7 to D minor, right? So a little chunk of a cycle. There are 1,000 examples like that, and this is why it's important to learn to play through these cycles and recognize them when they come up in music. Now, finally, with this portion of the lesson, all of these dominants that I just played will want to lead to a 1 chord, right? So C7 wants to lead to an F as its 1 chord, right? C7 is the 5 chord in the key of F. And what's the related 2 of the C7? The related 2 in the key of F would be a G minor. G minor, C7, F. So that's a 2-5-1. The same thing will go for any dominant. If we have F7, let's go this. How about this? F minor, B flat 7, 2-5-1, E flat minor, A flat 7, D flat. This is a nice cycle, but as you can see, it's all a part of this cycle of dominance. D flat minor, F sharp 7, B minor, E7, and then the 1 of A minor, D7, G, and then G7 to C. So great additional cycle practice, but in that exercise we end up with 2-5-1s in several different keys. Just to take you through that one more time: C minor, F7, B flat. And now on the B flat, we parallel minor that to B flat minor, to E flat 7, to A flat, parallel minor that to A flat minor, G flat, and then minor, B7, E, or E, minor, parallel minor, A7, D, parallel minor, D minor, G7. There's another great exercise. So the two exercises that we just did was just a simple one, playing through this in the dominance, and the other one was a 2-5-1 cycle, going from C minor and then going to F7 and then B flat, and then changing this to B flat minor, to the E flat 7 to the A flat, changing the A flat to A flat minor, then to a D flat 7, and then to the tonic chord of F sharp, and so on. Great exercise, and it sets you up for this little journey into 2-5-1s. You can see the cycle here if we look at each of the tonal centers. Here's the cycle. C major is our first key that we're going to play through. That's going through the cycle of fourth, C, D, E, F to the F, F, G, A, B flat to the B flat, and B flat to E flat, again 4, and again 4, and again 4. Cycle of fourths around the whole cycle, 12 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? 12 notes, separate notes on our instruments. And let's just take a look at the first exercise in the key of D minor, in the key of C, starting with the D minor chord, and I will give you a couple of ideas to use. Let's just start off with the idea of just playing through the chords alone in different positions on the fretboard. These are now suggestions for practice for this track, which I'll leave in the descriptions. The idea, just work your way around the fretboard, and just to begin with, just play the chords. Let's take this one step further. What do these three chords have in common? D minor to G7 to C major 7. What they have in common is that they're all from the scale of C major. D minor would be the notes of D, F, A, and C. G would be G, B, D, F, and C would be C, E, G, B, right? And so those chords are all made up of natural notes. Let's put it that way. If we look at, for instance, in the next key signature or key here, the notes would be G, B flat, D, and F in this chord. So we don't have a B flat in the key of C, but in this key of F, we do have a B flat, as we saw in the cycle of fifths. Then we have a C7, which is spelled C-E-G-B flat again. So now we have another B flat. So there's a B flat present in this key because it's diatonic to the key. If we go one step further, we're going to have two flats in this key. And one step further, we're going to have three flats in the key of E flat, and so on, all the way through, right? So now, what's another way that we could practice here? How about just nailing the root and the three of each chord for real practical practice? Root. Root and three. And I'm just doing some diatonic fills, meaning I'm only filling in the key of C major, right? And we're not getting crazy. We're just trying to nail the changes. Let's go root 3/5. Back up a little bit more. So what? Listen to this root. There's my 5 below. You can go up the fretboard, do these same exercises. Okay, I'm staying right within a very the constraints of just the chord tones and doing a couple of fills within the scale of C. This is a good exercise and a real practical exercise to get you hearing and really feeling out those keys. Okay, why don't we take a look at the key of F now? Okay, the second group here, we're going to have 1 flat, and if I work my way around the fretboard a little bit, G minor, C7, this is a good idea to do. There's my F major, G minor, C7, F, G minor, oh, how about just G minor? F, and we can do the same thing with the fills. Keep them simple. So we're just spelling. Okay, you get the idea. Now, really, all I'm doing as I'm moving through this is I played a root, a 3, a 5. You can take it down to the 7th. The best way to look at the 7th, or the simplest way to start out, look at the 7th as being a tone below the root of the chord. So here's my G, and 1, 3, 5, and here's my 7th, right? Right, and then well, we could do C here. There's my 7th below the root, and then I'm just spelling out the chord. Another good idea is to, a necessary idea is to just orient yourself with the key. I'm just playing all the F major scales up and down the fretboard, right? If you want to punctuate those scales with chords, it's pretty workable. Let me see if I can jump in here. Yeah, you get the idea. That's all very diatonic, right? Meaning just sticking to the scale. Personally, I find that it is more effective to really dig into the chord progression, rather than run scales. Really nail the chords, and it'll start to sound good. Especially if you travel across the fretboard. All right, so let's take a look at another key. We'll just make this the last key we look at. So the first key we had no sharps or flats. The second key had a single flat, as we know by looking at the cycle of fourths, right? Which goes to the left of the cycle of fifths. And then the next key here, we have 2-5-1 in B flat, and we know from looking at the cycle of fourths that this is going to give us two flats in the key of B flat. Let's play it up here. Right, B flat, B flats. Now, what I'm sure you know already, but in case you don't, is the scales that we're using here are all going to be the same scale forms, right? Where I'm just sticking to a major key, and so in this case I'm in B flat, but I'm going to be using all the same scale fingerings and forms. I'm just moving them around the fretboard. They're really look at the fretboard in fives, right? So you'll have. It doesn't matter what key you're in, it's going to work out to fives. Here's B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the last one is just going to be a repeat of the first one, right? Then we're up at the 12th fret region, a repeat, right? So it's always the same 5 scale forms. That's why it's important to know a scale form backwards and forwards, one key at a time. And then this is sort of the next level, is to start playing your scales and chords in every key. So first of all, I would suggest just visiting the key. So if we're in the key of B flat, key of B flat, right? Work your way around the fretboard. Just the roots and the thirds. 5 or root 5, 7, just start to spell the chords out in that way. Get your way through all 12 keys and make it a daily workout. Also, take a good strong look at the cycle of fifths and the cycle of fourths and the relative minors that are on that sheet as well. I'll put that in the description as well as the key signatures, because the key signatures are not just like pedantic theoretical stuff. They happen in every one of these chord progressions, right? So here we have 1 flat, 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats, 5 flats, and so on. Right? And this is important. As you go on, you'll have sharp keys down here at the bottom. You know, D is 2 sharps, A is 3 sharps, G is 1 sharp, and so on. And that's important that you become aware of where all of that stuff is on the fretboard. I hope that was a help to you somehow. I know I haven't quite dug this deep into stuff in the past, but it's all very worthwhile. Before I end here, here's I'm going to switch to a classic tune, just so you can see how predominant these 2 5s are. Here's the classic tune, and I'm just going to go through this tune and name the 2 5s. Here's a 2 5, B flat to E flat to A flat. There's that cycle that we played, you know, in the practice session. Here's another 2 5 unresolved. Here's another 2 5. Here's another 2 5. Here's another 2 5 which resolves to the top. You all know this tune. You get the idea. Okay, that's the tune. So 2 5s absolutely everywhere. Joe Pass loved this tune. He played it all the time. 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 1, 2, 3, and then it becomes a 2 5. So 2. It's all 2 5s. When Sunny Gets Blue, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5, 2 5. Holy moly! And 2 5, 2 5. You know, listen to this cycle, right? So we have 2 5 1, 2 5 1 6, 2 5, and so on, right? So that's just a little example of how important these 2 5 1 progressions are. There it is. I'll leave a bunch of stuff in the description links. If you got anything out of this, leave me some love. I really need comments, right? Because I don't know. You know, I could be talking to outer space. So if I get comments, it really helps me, and I really appreciate it when you leave them. And as far as questions go, I answer them all in detail, actually. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again real soon.